All right. We're here with Mr. Cecil Fong for the Houston Asian American Archive. Today is March 22nd, 2018. I'm Mary Claire Neal.
And I'm Amber Liu.
All right. Welcome, Mr. Fong. Will you
Sure.
tell us just when and where you were born and some about your earliest memories?
I was born in Taipei, Taiwan, and I was there till I think middle school in Taiwan, and my early memories of Taiwan was Taipei. I think I was born in Taipei, so my parents moved there when after the fall of communist China. They all moved to Taiwan. And so I was born there, and so my dad was works for the government, the Taiwanese government, and then he eventually became a diplomat, and he also he was sent to other countries. He went to Vietnam, Thailand. Indonesia, a number of countries, but I was there until my middle school, and then I went to Vietnam. The whole family went to Vietnam because that was my dad's first foreign assignment. And so I went to Saigon at the time, and that was during the Vietnam War. So it was actually somewhat dangerous, I guess, at the time. But I was fairly, I was a kid, so really didn't pay that much attention to what's going on per se. And Taiwan is it's fairly rural country at the time, not that many people, so. So I remember growing up with would live among the farms or fields, crops and so forth, even near the city of Taipei, so it's fairly rigorous. Seems like it's very rigorous schoolwork in Taiwan. I think it's pretty much everybody, all the kids just study all the time, seemed like at the time. But when I went to Saigon, then I went to a Chinese school, and it's a Chinese school. They teach you English and Chinese, So it's so I didn't really learn Vietnamese. It was everything's taught in Chinese and English at the time. So that's kind of where I picked up English, more or less, when I was in Saigon for a year, studying English and Chinese, and then when. And then that was 1968. 1968. That's when during the Vietnam War, and then 1968. They had what they call a Tet Offensive. That's when VC or Viet Cong, they actually attacked Saigon. So which took everybody by surprise. So I remember it was at night. You just hear these pops, little pops around the city. You sound like firecrackers, But and then the electricity was out, but you see these flashes, of lights, so yeah, you heard on the news that the Viet Cong was actually attacking Saigon. So there's a lot of street battles going on. And so not until the next morning, I think, when things settled down, when the Vietnamese army repelled the VC and took the city back. When then things got settled down a little bit, but so it's because of that, because of the Tet Offensive, my dad felt like it wasn't that safe for the kids to be in the city anymore. So that's when he sent me to Houston to study here in for high school. And my mom happens my mom's aunt was living in Houston, and at the time, so I stayed with her, and I came, I went to where did I go to? I went to Lamar High School. Lamar High School for 2 years, and then Bel Air High School for 1 year before I graduated. So, and I was staying with my aunt this whole time at that time. So I came here, and my brother, I had one brother. He went back to Taipei to study in Taipei. So that we were separated, but at least I have relatives here in Houston. So that's how I came to Houston to study.
Did you keep in touch with your relatives while you're in Houston and they were in Saigon?
Well, when I was here, I still have my mother's sister lives in Taipei. Okay, of course, my parents stay in Saigon. Even after we left, because so they were actually, my parents were still there till 1975. That's when the Vietnamese government fell. So my dad was actually one of the last to leave. You see these pictures of the people on top of American Embassy in Saigon, wherever I try to get on the helicopters as the last helicopter to leave before the VC came into the city. So my dad was one of the last helicopters that actually leaves Saigon. So, but he was there for another 6 years after I left. And so during that time, when I even want to study here, I went back, to Saigon during the summer to visit a couple of times. So it's okay. It was actually okay after the Tet Offensive. And then the battles were taking place elsewhere in Vietnam. The Saigon itself was okay for the most part. So it was okay. So it was okay for my brother and I go back and visit my parents during the summer. So I went back a couple of times. Went to Taipei a couple of times when I was studying here. So. And that was even when So I came to Rice. I was after high school. Came to Rice. I studied at Rice. So I started in 1971 at Rice. I didn't graduate until 1976. I had 5 years and got a chemical engineering degree in master's. So when I was studying here, I think I went back maybe one more time. And of course, my parents, they would come to the States from time to time to visit. So we kind of more or less kept in touch this whole time. But it was I think it really helped that I studied English in Saigon. So when I came here, I can understand English for the most part. I just wasn't very fluent at it, but it helped with my adjustment by having that 1 year English, and then by going to high school here also kind of helped me sharpen my English language skills before I came to Rice.
What kind of values or stories did your parents influence you with and pass down to you?
Well, yeah, I think it's like mostly most Asian parents, you study hard, you want to find a good job, and all that. So, and then that was I think, yeah, I guess at the time I was pretty much I didn't, there was I was going to Taiwan, to Vietnam, to come to here, so there was a lot of adjustments, I guess, to the new environment all throughout, so but I think the studying kind of helped me study myself. That was kind of the focus, even though I was moving around quite a bit, but I was kind of able to focus on my studies all throughout. And then the fact that I studied in Taiwan and Vietnam, I think their education standards was ahead of U.S. So actually I knew a lot of the math and science stuff before I came here, so it made it easier for me to adjust here. So I was acing all the STEM stuff, and just had to work on my English. That was kind of my weakness. But so that's and that was actually, it's very, I guess it's just the way I was always interested in kind of math and science, and I kind of fell into studying chemical engineering as a kind of a natural, so it wasn't I didn't really struggle to try to find something to do. I knew I liked math and science, and went into pick chemistry to study, and I did well in it, and so and then when I finished studying, I was able to find a job as a chemical engineer in Houston, so everything went fairly smoothly, I guess, from that regard.
Did you have any best friends growing up, or were you and your brother close?
My brother and I were pretty close, but then we were separated. We lived apart for a long time. Ever since high school, I guess we kind of lived apart. But then he did come over here after I started Rice. He came here just to attend high school in Houston. So then we were together again in the same city. So. And I have, I still have, had some, a couple of friends that I had in high school in Lamar, and that I still kept in touch with, even to this date. Because at the time, it's there's not that many Asians, in the high school those days, so it's only a few, so I had a couple of good buddies who are also Asians, so we're still kind of keep in touch, at that time. So, and even when I came to Rice, not that many Asians at Rice either. It was maybe 50 at the most, undergraduate and graduate together, Asians, so, and so I have some. I still kept in touch with quite a few of the Rice students also during from that back then. So we still kept in touch. So it's one of the I say my schooling, high school and college wise. I was able to I really enjoyed it. In meeting friends, making friends and building relationships, and still had a good time, studying and working, while I was attending school here. So, I think I would say it was my best experiences.
Did that surprise you how well it went when you got to America? Were you worried at all before you came?
Yeah, somewhat. I guess somewhat surprising. I guess since English was not my first language, and but yeah, it seemed like I picked it up fairly fast, So, yeah, and I think I guess looking back at it, I guess it's somewhat surprising, But yeah, and when I was going through it, and it was I didn't really had to struggle. Seemed like at that time, So everything went fairly smoothly, And I think that's a good thing. It really is. I think it made it easier. When my aunt was here, so I think it made it easier that I was staying with family all throughout the whole time, So, and able to kind of make friends, like I said, and and build relationship throughout schools. And I think that also helped my integration into the American society.
Do you have any one particular memory from your early days in America that you think is really interesting or?
Well, I think when I came here, I think 1969. Yeah, so the Houston is still pretty small. Even at 1969, it wasn't that big. I remember that my uncle had a restaurant, Chinese restaurant, called Kingbo or something. I think they're on the Westheimer and Fondren. I think that's what the location of the restaurant was. But that was kind of seemed like that was kind of middle of nowhere, So when he opened a restaurant, that was like in the midst of farm fields, the restaurant. I was surprised he picked open restaurant so far out of the city, but yeah, looking back, it's not far at all. Yeah, now you don't look back at it. Yeah, so it just wasn't. Yeah, but everybody was, it wasn't not very big city, but everybody's very. Yeah, I thought everyone was very friendly. Welcoming, So, and I didn't, and of course, maybe it's not that many, not that many. Like I said, not that many Asians, at school at the time. So, the other kids were always kind of curious about the Asian culture. They're all very friendly toward me and all that, so they made adjustment fairly smooth growing up, all through high school, and even despite coming to a new country at a time. So I thought, I thought it really, I think, kind of worked out well, I guess, under circumstances.
So when you left for Houston, were you old enough at that point to understand some of the political reasons behind why you had to move, and what did you think of that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Of course, yeah. When I know the war was going on, with the Vietnam, and of course, then in terms of Taiwan, I understood there's the battle, I guess, between Taiwan and mainland Chinese, and so they kind of there's always the constant battle, and but it really didn't I didn't really affect me personally. it was just something happening in the background, and that so it didn't really affect my studies or my relationship, and my work, and going on and so forth, so yeah, so it's something that even the friends that I had, some from Taiwan, some from China, some from we don't really dwell on it, even with on opposite sides or anything like that. So yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, I don't think it wasn't a factor.
Can you tell me a little about your job in Astroworld?
Oh yeah, so that was my. I think that was my. Forgot what it was. I think it's the summer of my junior or senior in high school. High school was my first job. I just turned 16, I think. So I think I had to be 16 to work. So I just, and then the Astroworld is actually real close to my aunt's house, where I was staying. So. Actually, I couldn't drive at the time, so I had a bicycle, so I could actually bike to work from my aunt's house to Astroworld, and it's like right along the. I remember I had to bike along the feeder, on the feeder on 610, so it was a little scary, biking along the side of the cars coming, going speeding by, but yeah, it was I guess it worked out, and so I was a fry cook, in one of the restaurants in Astroworld, so you cook hamburgers and French fries and stuff like that, so.
So was that just like extra fun spending money, or did you have a responsibility to earn that?
No, it was just extra money. It was summer. It was nothing to do in the summer, right? So everybody gets summer jobs back then. So this was a summer job, but I had fun. It was a fun job. It was a lot of young kids, all working in the Astroworld. So you work, you have your shifts, and then you go to parties after the shift, after your shift is over, so yeah, it's a good way to earn a little bit of money and make some friends and have fun, during the summer. Yeah, so so I did. Yeah, that was my. I think junior. Yeah, either my junior or senior year high school. And then I think that was my. I only made like $1.65 an hour or something. Which seemed like a lot of money at the time, but it was not much at all. But yeah, but it was fun. It was fun, and then I had that was my first job, and then I think next summer I had a job as a busboy in a Chinese restaurant, so and then the next summer I became a waiter, and I was a waiter at the restaurant called Trader Vic's. It's like it used to be it's not there anymore, but it's a restaurant along South Main, Holcomb. There was like a Shamrock Hilton at the time. Yeah, so that was a Trader Vic's. It was a Polynesian restaurant, and so I was actually a waiter there, for summer as well. So it seems like every summer, in high school and college, I always had a summer job, and either waitering or Astroworld, and then of course when it became junior, senior in college, and I had internships as engineers in engineering companies then, so we kind of moved up in the world there. So,
What
but-
was coming to Rice like? Were you involved in any clubs or the college social scene?
Rice, I enjoyed I really enjoyed the Rice college experience. I was in Will Rice, and I was there for 5 years. I was there all 5 years. It was this is before the co-ed, so it was all male, at the time, so, and but I had and I was, when I first, as a freshman, I got paired with Michael House. He's an English major, so it's really, it's complete opposite of me. I was an engineer. He was an English major. He's English philosophy major. So very very interesting. Kind of exposed me to different side of people. That I don't normally associate with. So, and so I think actually it worked out well. I think he he and I stayed roommate for all five years. So we got along very well. And a couple of people that and then that's my our neighbor, I guess, was a philosophy major. And then another neighbor was a chemical engineer like me. So I remember we get along really well, and we used to play bridge all the time in the suite, and play bridge and smoke marijuana. Okay, back then, so it was fun. It really was. It was kind of a carefree. It's kind of a carefree. You do your studies. You get together and BS, after studying, maybe play some bridge, smoke the water pipe a little bit there, and that's what we do every week, It's and it really kind of, and then enjoy the college experience, meeting with other, everybody in the college. We used to all sit down together. Everybody have to eat at 6 o'clock at night or something. Right? It's you don't get there at 6. Then you miss the meal, and everybody have to sit at round tables. We used to have freshmen. I probably don't do that anymore. Right? The freshman has to serve the whole table. Bring the dishes from the kitchen and serve the whole table. So that's part of the freshman's initiation, I guess. So, so everybody sit together, everybody talk, during dinner, and it's after dinner, and some of us will go with the play bridge in the common. We used to have I think we used to play bridge with Dr. Carlberson. I think he was a faculty, but I think he's still part of Will Rice. He used to play bridge with them, all the time. So, and so it's and I used so that's a dorm. That's the college experience, and then also I also joined the I think the Rice the Chinese Student Association. There's not that many of us. So we're pretty close. So they had both undergraduate and graduate students all in one association. So we used to get together, and it's like combination of kids who are from here, who were born here, as well as foreign students, from Taiwan, for the most part, Taiwan and Hong Kong at the time. So, and yeah, so that was I think that was a pretty close knit group, also because it's not that many of us, and I think I became the president of that association my senior year here in Rice, so. And so I had so I had different circles, I had different circles in when I was at Rice, and and I still keep in touch with quite a few of them, even to this day.
So being the president of the Chinese Student Association, that kind of seems to foreshadow a lot of the work you do now with the Chinese American community. And so what motivated you to become involved in that at first?
Well, I think we just at the time, I just really wanted to kind of plan some activities, for the group, so and the best way to do that is to volunteer and serve as officers and presidents and put together activities, on the weekends for the members. And that was really it's really more socializing and building relationships. That was kind of the main motivation, to get to know other people. And actually that's how I met my wife. My wife, she went to UH, so, but she ran for Miss Chinatown, 1 year anyway, in a year. So when I was president of the Rice Chinese Association, and we put together a Lunar New Year celebration, at the Grand Hall, so we needed some entertainment, I talked to the Miss Chinatown sponsor and got a couple of Miss Chinatown contestants to come perform. My wife was one of them. That's how I met my wife. So through that activity, I actually gained, not just friends, but gained my wife as well. And so that's so I kind of stay. So I say I was pretty, I was pretty active, I guess, during the college years, and of course I didn't. After I started working, then I think I kind of took a step back somewhat, just focused on work, and we had kids, couple of kids, so that the family and kids and work took most of my time, so I didn't really step back in the community until actually my kids are at high school, before I came back to the communities. So
how far apart are your kids, and what was it like when you first became a parent?
my wife was they're 4 years apart. I think my kids are 4 years apart. Yeah, and it was my first kid. That was amazing. I think that was an amazing experience. I thought that's it's when he was born. And then you held him. I held him in my arms. It's so small. It's a little scary, that this kid is really now, your responsibility, but it's an awesome feeling. It's an awesome feeling to have a kid, and I guess you probably hard to relate unless you're a parent yourself, to have that feeling that somebody's really depending on you. It's another person is basically really depending on you now, and you have this responsibility, to bring him up, and but it's I remember I just thought it was just such an awesome feeling that to have a kid and then have opportunity, to bring him up, and so we have the second one is for 4 year, I think 4 year later, yeah. So, and but yeah, but second one was much easier actually, because once you go through the first one, yeah, you don't sweat the details as much with the second one. It's much easier. Yeah, but that is the only thing kind of with two kids, the only thing I kind of regret is wasn't because I had to, when they were growing up, I had to travel quite a bit for work, so I wasn't able to always go to all the activities, and I always kind of regret it, even though it's it's not something I could help because I had to travel. But then by looking back, and also especially with my younger one, when he was growing up, I think I traveled more than the first one, but he talking to him, he remember, all the activities that I did not go to. He remember. It's he didn't remember the ones I went to, but he remembered the ones I didn't go. So it was yeah. I always kind of regretted that. Yeah, I wasn't always there to see the experiences that they have growing up.
Did you and your wife, was there any way that both of you passed on different values to your children than your parents did to you?
Yeah, well, it's my parents, I think my wife's parents too. I think they're pretty hands off, parents, and there wasn't a lot of guidance growing up from my parents. They just tell you that you need to study. They don't tell you how and how to go about doing it. And of course, then I was on my own since I was 14, basically. So I didn't really get much guidance, from them because they're not here. Yeah, so I was always pretty. So I learned to be pretty independent for the most part, and not needing much guidance from them, because I had some idea what I wanted to do, and it worked out, and I didn't really need a lot of guidance necessarily either, so with our kids, it's kind of my wife and my style are very similar in that we are kind of hands off also, so we don't tell our kids what to do, and maybe it's because our parents didn't tell us what to do, so we didn't tell our kids what to do either, so, and we'll kind of let them figure it out on their own, what's the right thing to do, and we don't tell them unless we don't advise them unless they come to us for questions specifically. So it's kind of like the same style that we pass down to our kids. But then I think I don't know if that's the right. Looking back, I don't know if that's the right style for our kids, because I think they were. Sometimes they were struggling, with needing some guidance, and maybe they didn't come to us automatically to ask, and so talking to them after they're grown, they say they wish they had maybe a little more guidance from us growing up, so. And instead of them having to figure it out on their own, and which turned out, I think which turned out fine, that they had to figure it out for themselves what to do, but it's just that it was pretty stressful, in the process of trying to figure out, what they should be doing, how they should go about doing it, so. So I think they were looking for more involvement and from us than were given. And because I was traveling quite a bit when they were growing up too, so that didn't help the matter either. So, but they're both very successful now. So. And so I think everything turned out well. Is that maybe it's maybe we could have helped them get there sooner, rather than later, I guess. So, but they both doing well. So it's one has one came back to Rice and got an MBA degree. So he's the only one that came to Rice. And my younger one, he went to Stanford. It's kind of interesting because he was accepted to go to Stanford, but Rice did not accept him. So it was always kind of curious to me why Rice wouldn't take him. Even though I'm the alumni, but he ended up at Stanford, which turned out fine, and he had a master public policy from Princeton after that, and then he got an MBA from UC Berkeley after that, so they're both in Bay Area, and doing well. So it's kind of a little bit of they both took a little bit of detour, in kind of how they got to where they are, But I think they all was a good journey along the way, where they kind of learn to figure out what interests them, what motivates them, what excites them, what are their passions, So I think they're both enjoying what they do now. So it's I'm very proud of both of them.
How was your job were you a chemical
Engineer?
Yes. Did you like it like you expected to?
Yeah, I like it fine because I was I was good at it. But engineering is it's kind of like I say, I was good in math, in chemistry, so chemistry require both skills, so I was so I decided to major in that, and I did well in that, and I was able to find a job because of that, and but I think as it turned out, I didn't really practice engineering that long after I left school. I was engineer for maybe let's say 2-3 years, 2-3 years, and then I joined I joined Shell, and then after I joined Shell, then Shell moves me to different jobs every 3 years or so. Yeah, and so it's just only the first one was engineering job. All the other jobs, all the other assignments I had, really not. It's still technical, 'cause it's information technology. I was in information technology. I was in what was I? I was in the lab automation, and I had assignment in the research a lab, and I became managers, of different groups in Shell in both E&P and downstream business, so different businesses. So really, I guess as I move up, my job became more and more managing people, managing relationship rather than technical. Yeah. So engineering really prepared me, to it gave me my first job, because the skills I have allow me to have a job with Shell, and then in which I'm grateful, and after I start working with Shell through different assignments, then I tend to use more my analytical skills and my people skills, communication skills, and those are the ones that I picked up kind of along the way to help me succeed, really more than technical skills as I move through the company, So yeah, so I guess it's engineering was my the way is to as my it's a way for me to get my foot in the door, so to speak, and really after that, my progression, really has more to do, less to do with technical than my people and management skills after that, so I think that's how it is for probably most careers, then it's there are some people, I guess, stay in the same field or the same technical field for a whole career if you're really good at it, and then you can excel at it, and then you can maybe you do research, you can have more and more patents and so forth, and that's a way to excel in your own field, So, but my interest is really more. I'm really more interested in exploring and seeing different things, and so I like to see new experiences every so often, and so I'm really kind of like so I like the moving around and learning new opportunity, learning new fields, learning new businesses, so that kind of keeps me young, so to speak, and keep me motivated, and keeps the job interesting, through my whole career, and so it's like every job I have in Shell, I have 34 years with Shell, so every 3 years, I had at least 10 jobs. I get 10 assignments in Shell, so everyone is different, a different business, different people, and the skill set is similar, across the assignments, but it's learning the new business, new opportunities, and meeting new people. That's the interesting part of my job, my career. So that, yeah, I'm glad it worked out that way. I wouldn't be as happy if I had to stay engineer my whole career. So it worked out. It just worked out. I think Shell is a great company to work for, in the sense that it is such a big company. It has so many opportunities. You can move around in the same company without having to change companies. So it's a good career. I was an engineer. It gives you the good skill set to let you start out. Because engineering, they teach you a lot of different skills, analytical skills, and other skills, which reasoning, which you would need, in any job you do.
So what were some examples of leadership positions that you had within Shell?
So in Shell, I was, I guess, so it's, the start out, the first leadership position is like group leader. It's a group leader position, and then you basically manage a small group of 5 to 10 people, in their work, and then move into manager positions, and when you're in manager positions, then you get up to 10, 20, 30, people as in the manager positions. The real actually, the 10 people is really the right size. Once you go up, become the next level up, and you have more people under you, but you don't know your people as well. Yeah. So, and that's the kind of the hardest part as you move up to a managed position. It's you have to kind of manage through people, rather than manage them directly, and so you have to you have actually people under you who manage a group, so you can't really tell the group directly. You're not supposed to anyway. What to do? You tell your direct report, and then tells his people, her people, what needs to be done. So it's really kind of a so that at that point, then it's really not you're not really you're managing the people to deliver their projects, so, and you're not really managing the deliverables yourself anymore. Then you're actually relying on others to deliver deliverables for you. So, and that's kind of the hardest part, because then you have to trust your people to know what to do and use their judgment on what is the right way to approach things and how to deliver, and try not to over micromanage, I guess, so to speak. And I think that's the hardest part, is to let go and trust your people to do the right thing and use their own judgments. And I think that's hardest thing for a first level manager to let go. Is to delegate more. But once you learn to do that, then you become a better manager. because then you're letting your people have the freedom and authority.
So what kind of places did you get to travel to?
I think, well, of course, I travel in the different locations in the United States. We have now here we have a big Shell has a big complex here in Deer Park, and then we have another big complex in New Orleans called Norco. We used to have one called Martinez in the San Francisco area. So that's another big complex that we have, and then of course Shell is a global company. The Houston is the headquarters for the U.S. The global headquarters is in The Hague, which is in the Netherlands. So I travel to The Hague, quite a bit, to coordinate activities. And part of it, and then so I have a couple of assignments I have is like global assignments, where I actually work with people outside the U.S. So and my I'm actually my one of my assignments, my boss is actually physically located in The Hague. So it's like a virtual relationship with my boss. He's in The Hague, I'm here. But then that became more commonplace, more and more so later in my career. The global groups, and then I had groups I also worked with groups in Malaysia. We actually do have a lot of support, technical support folks that actually work out of Malaysia. And so we had like the teleconferences, and so we had teleconference with folks there, and all the time, and so that makes it that. So the time differences is what became a challenge. They had to make sure during their working days, and usually beginning our work day here is late in the day over there. So that's usually the best time to do the teleconferences is in the evenings over there and the early mornings here, and we tend to have our teleconferences. Yeah, so it's and yeah, that's so a lot of times, more and more times they don't really have to necessarily have to travel to different locations. They can do a lot of work, globally, through teleconferences. Yeah, so and yeah, so some the people that I talk to all the time but never met them. I guess it's just the way it worked out, nowadays, so it's more common than not to do that, so but it's still good though to be able to kind of work with people, that's different, a different country from you, and different locations from you, and this kind of with the global company, that's an advantage, I guess. With the cross-cultural, you have a lot of cross-cultural communications, and to make sure that we. That's one of the things that I got involved. I got involved in Shell is on diversity and inclusion, to making sure. I was president of the Shell Asian Network. For a year, so, and that's one of the things that we try to advocate, to make sure that we have the diversity inclusion in all the jobs that we have, you know, in all levels, you know, not just entry levels, but all the way up. We want to make sure we have diversity, and because I can, you know, when I was the president of the Shell Asian Network, you know, the numbers were such that we have maybe 12% Asians, you know, the entry levels, you know, and then but you go up the organization, you know, mid-level it became 6% Asians, and then you go to upper level it became 3% Asians, you know, that's an example, you know, so that was one of the things that I felt like I had to work on to see how we can kind of move or develop the skills, I guess, for Asian Americans, so that they can move up the companies, so that we have more Asian leaders in Shell. So, and that was one of my motivations when I became president of Shell Asian Network, is to see what we can do. You know, I worked with the president at the time, president of Shell at the time, John Hofmeister, to look at the data, you know, and talk about strategies, how we can narrow the gap, so to speak, you know. So we came out with some training, leadership training, for our Asian network, to make sure we develop the skill, the soft skills, because a lot of the Asians they're very good technically, you know, but they may not be as good people skill wise or communication wise and presentation wise. So we want to develop those skills, because people skills is what actually moves you up, and not technical skills, you know. So we had developed some courses to our network members to develop the skills, so that when the opportunity comes, you know, they can move up, and then also the John Hofmeister with the corporate standpoint, they also agreed to make sure that for any promotion into a senior level position, I have at least one minority in the consideration. You know, so to make sure that we give the opportunities to women minorities in the company as well. So I think that was very good collaboration with the company and the Asian network to come up with a strategy that helped both. Yeah. So. And that was one of the reasons, and that I think that's becoming president of the Shell Asian Network, you know, got me more interested, you know, in see how we can develop more Asian leaders. You know, not just in Shell, but in general, you know, in all areas. You know, it's because it's kind of a common issue for Asian Americans in general, that we are the little too quiet sometimes. Yeah, maybe we're not as assertive as we should be, and therefore we don't get noticed when the opportunity comes a lot of times. And so that's something that I felt that was important to see what we can kind of do, what I can do personally, you know, and also what I can do with the community to try to make sure that we continue to develop leaders, Asian American leaders in all fields. And so I'm still, you know, I got involved with the diversity summit when I was in Shell. It's an annual diversity inclusion conference, to try to promote diversity in the workplace. And I'm still part of the organization, even though I retired from Shell now. I retired 7 years ago from Shell. Yeah, but I'm still involved with this diversity summit, which Shell is a sponsor along with other corporate sponsors. That we put together this conference once a year, and invite speakers to come talk about the inclusion. How can we be inclusive? In everything we do. So we have topic that addresses unconscious bias, for example. That people might have. We have topic that addresses women-centric topic issues, LGBTQ issues, veterans, and disabled. Because every one of these, every one of the groups, they have some unique challenges, in terms of advancing, and so we want to make sure the disadvantaged groups, have a way to identify the issues, identify potential solutions and way forward, so that we can kind of help everybody move up in the companies. So I think we have one coming. Our next conference coming up is April 26th. It's our 19th. This 19th conference coming out at the Diversity Summit. Yeah. So I'm still active, working on behalf of diversity and inclusion. And that's one of the examples that I continue to focus my energy after I left Shell. So that one, and then the other one is I think it's kind of three. I think it was three things that I started when I was in Shell. I will still continue working on. The Diversity Summit is one, and OCA is the other. The OCA is a national advocacy group for Asian Americans. To make sure we have equal rights, and also encourage Asian Americans to become more engaged civically, in voting and running for office and so forth. So that one I'm president of the Houston chapter. So I'm continuing working on behalf of that organization to advance Asian American civic engagement. And the third one is the Education Rainbow Challenge. That one also started when I was at Shell, because Shell was a sponsor of that, and that one is also around 20 years now, actually, too. So that one's that's also the motivation for that is actually to get elementary school kids interested in math and science when they're young, like grades 3 to 5. So that one is it's to try to get again with the disadvantaged groups, the minorities, and they don't always have the advantage necessarily of other groups in gaining access to STEM. So we want to get. So we have these math tournaments. We run these math tournaments and science experiments, for these little kids. On one Saturday morning, then they come in, they compete in the math competition, and also they also have experience. They also have opportunity to experience hands-on experiments, while they're doing the math competition. And so that's that again. That's get them excited about math and science when they're young, because it's kind of a dry subject, So the idea is trying to get them interested young, so that they can consider going to this area as a when they go to college, a way to kind of get minorities a leg up, so to speak, So really, I guess at all three of these is really kind of my motivation is trying to get disadvantaged, communities, more opportunities, to level the field, so to speak, going forward. So I'm still kind of focus my energy in these three areas, as I enjoy my retirement.
So coming from your engineering background and then ending up working in diversity and inclusion, did you have any personal experiences that led you to care about that more than you did at first, or any mentors or leaders who taught you how important that was?
Yeah, I didn't, so I didn't really see many Asian, I guess, role models, I guess, growing up, I guess, so to speak. And because there's just not that many, and I didn't really, didn't really kind of dawn on me, how important that would be until until later in my career, when I start seeing that there's not that many Asians that I can go to for advice, or after I rise to a certain level. So that's when I guess when it started bothering me, I guess, that why there's not not more role models, Asian role models per se, and so I guess that's kind of the motivations, and you start looking around, you don't see that many high level Asian leaders, in general in corporate America, or in government, you see a few, but it's certainly not. The Asians are about 6% of the population. So the leaders are probably around the senior leaders, maybe about 2% of Asians probably. So definitely don't have as many as we should. So I think that's important, especially for it's because we have more and more a lot of Asians, younger Asians, coming up, so definitely opportunities are there for them to take advantage, if they can, so I think it's getting better. It's definitely getting better. We're not there yet, but I think we're getting better.
So do you think if there were appropriate representation in leadership levels of Asian Americans, would that reflect that something in America has changed for the better, or would that be a way to change America for the better? Like, is it the result or the cause of a shift?
Well, like I said, I think you're seeing more Asian representation now definitely than when I was say 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Right? So you definitely see more representation now. So which is a good thing, because by seeing more, then you have more role models out there for young people to follow. So then it's become this like a kind of a rising tide raises all boats, so to speak. Right? So definitely having more have a synergistic effect of developing more going forward as well. So and I think I think the fact that you have more the Asian population is growing, and that is good too, because then they can go into a lot more different fields now too than just STEM. Traditionally it's almost mostly STEM, but now you see more in the arts, in music, and or even the elected officials you're seeing more now. So so it's there's a Asian American running for president now, Andrew Yang. So which is great. Of course I think there are a couple others who are also maybe partial Asian. Also. So yeah, I think that's encouraging, and because I was just at some kind of talk. I was talking at Asia Society about Asian representation in the film industry, TV and film industry. Yeah, so you're seeing more Asians, in TV and films too. And then they were saying not just actors. They're seeing more Asians in the back offices too, like producers, directors, and so forth. And maybe eventually you need Asians in decision makers too, who can make decisions in that area too. So I think we're getting more Asian filter through all the fields, and higher and gradually moving up. Yeah. So I think it's definitely encouraging, and Asian is one of the fastest growing. Well, I guess is the fastest growing group in America, including if you count other immigrants, new immigrant that comes in. So that's definitely a good thing.
I just had this in my head. What was I going to say? Do you have anything? Maybe I'll remember, hopefully.
Yeah, sure. So you talked about a couple of the organizations that you've been a part of, but and there's also the Chinese Community Center.
Uh-huh.
So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, Chinese Community Center. I'm on the board of Chinese Community Center, and I was the past board chair back 10 years ago. But I'm still on the board. I'm the long range head of the long range planning committee for Chinese Community Center, and we are in the process of completing a new building for senior activities. We call it the senior daycare center. So we can have, once it's completed, the senior can go there for day activities, and that's one of the focuses that the CCC has is trying to address the aging demographics, of our community. So we have more. So yeah, that's a clear need for our community that we haven't. Well, there are some centers, I guess, here and there that's addressing some of that, but they always need more. So that's why I think that's the motivation for the CCC build to raise the funds needed to build a new building so that we can have additional facility for addressing this segment of population that's growing and aging. And CCC. I think it's one of the few Asian American organizations who actually I think will actually do things for the community. Yeah. So too many Asian American groups, they just do social activities, and fellowship building, but CCC is one of the few actually have a facility, and actually have services, there's services for the community, and not just for Chinese. Even though it's called Chinese Community Center, but we serve all demographics, and it's a United Way agency, so you get funding. From United Way, and when you get public funding, you have to open your service up to everybody. You can't just say only for Chinese, right? So anything we do, is available to all the clients in the area. So we have childcare, we have adult education, we have after school programs, we have senior programs, which we're gonna locate in the senior center, and we also have, of course, we also have a Chinese school. Chinese school also. That's kind of one of the original programs. CCC is a Chinese language school from kindergarten for high school. So that's still there, and then we also have the what we call the health and wellness activities. We have a gym. People can come play basketball, volleyball, badminton, and then we have the exercise programs, for people. So it's a community center. Yes, it's all kinds of activities we have. So yeah, I think it really provides a clearly needed services for the Asian communities and beyond. I mean, it's something that our community can be proud of. That we have that as a non-profit activity center. That serves everyone. And I guess also dispels the notion that Asian Americans doesn't really reach out, help other communities, so it's another good way to kind of to brandish the Asian American names also.
So you've mentioned your passion for relationship building and community building. Have these organizations been a way for you to also build those relationships, and are there other ways you do that too?
Yeah. I think that's what all these activities that I continue to get involved in. It's of course the main motivation is to give back to the community. To help those in need. But that's the end goal. To help others. But then the process or the journey itself, is having a relationship, with the others that work with all different, all these different activities, and so all these activities, that I'm involved in, I enjoy working with a different set of people, and they're each one great set of people to work with, and I really enjoy the working relationship, because I wouldn't, it's no fun doing it if I don't enjoy it, right? So that's, and so the good thing is, all these, the CCC or the ERC, the Diversity Summit and OCA, they all, it's all the different set of people, but they're all great people to work with, and then they have they all contribute, in their own terms, they don't have a personal agenda, they just want to help, and so I mean it's that kind of I would say it's these relationships that I have and the people that I work with is really what I guess sustains me, I guess, in doing this work. It's kind of my motivation. So, and as I enjoy the kind of the journey, to get there, working with the people, and at this time, at this stage, in my life, I had a successful career, and I'm not really looking for any personal gain, anymore, so I just want to kind of see what I can do to kind of give back at this point to the community, and if I can, find a group of people that have the same mindset, what more can you ask? It's a great way to enjoy my retirement years, and still. So it's a good. I think it's a good. Right now it's a good balance as I enjoy my retirement years. Have some time for my personal life, and sometimes my community life, and kind of have a good balance, and then working with the people that like to work with, so it's kind of a best of both worlds, so to speak.
So do you have a group you play bridge with now, or do you have any other hobbies, music or books?
No, I used to play bridge. I used to play bridge a lot more, and I used to play some mahjong also. But then it seems like this. Haven't been able to. I still play. I haven't played bridge or mahjong much more anymore, but I still play poker. I play poker once a month or so. Yeah. So that's I guess that's kind of my my only other pastime, I guess, besides traveling, I guess. Yeah, which I also enjoy doing with my wife. Try to find the new places to go to and so forth.
Where do you like to travel, or where would you like to travel in the future?
Well, we've been to quite a bit. We've been to Asia and Europe and Caribbean, Mexico. Haven't been to Australia or New Zealand yet. So it's maybe my maybe the kind of the next destination.
What do you like to experience when you travel? Are you like a museum and history person, or nature, or everything?
Now it's more. Now it's more the history and the scenic sites. So not as much beaches and used to. When I was younger, I I like to go snorkeling. It's diving. I used to dive also. So, but I guess now I'm probably not as much into the physical activity rather than it's more kind of sightseeing, seeing the historical sites, and in museums, and see something that's different that you wouldn't see, over here. So, we have that. We just came back from 30-day cruise in Asia. That we went to I don't know, over 30 days. Went to maybe 12 cities, I think, in Asia. So, and that was that's a nice way to see, different cities every day, and see the sights and sounds, I guess, in each city, and taste the food, and maybe see the highlights they have, all in one pass. So we enjoy that. I think as we get older, I think cruise is a good way to travel. We don't have to worry about packing, unpacking, or flying, or to get everything is, you just stay on the ship, then they dock at a different port each day, and you get off and explore, and then come back to the ship to sleep at night. So that's an easy way to kind of see a lot of different places in one setting. So we're probably gonna, we always go to Vegas once a year too. We like Vegas, even though we don't gamble that much anymore. Just like to see the sights and sounds.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about, or any hopes for the world, or just the country, or anything else you'd like people to hear 200 years from now when they listen to this?
No, I think it's it's interesting, and as I reflect over the years, that I came here when I was young, and at over 40 years, I guess, or 50 years, I don't know. It's seemed like it's in Houston. You see a lot of changes, and everything's getting more complicated, I guess, more complex. It seemed like not as simple as it used to be. So, but then you see a lot of the a lot of different accomplishments, the people have, and all the advancements that we have, technology and society, the people, it's getting more diverse, so I think you're getting you have a definitely have a I think definitely have a richer feel to it. It's really it had a lot of different components to our society and our culture now than before. And each one, everyone brings their own unique perspective. And I think we are all richer for it. With all the with the new immigrants, the younger generation, they're much smarter than we were. I think, so, and everything's it's getting better. It's the other material, I guess, the material things. I mean, we are a lot far better than we were back, say, 50 years ago. and then I think the people are more lot more different people, and they're not hidden. I guess they're all more coming out of service. So I think that's good. And I think you understands. I think that it's a lot more people with the different perspectives, and I think it should make the world better place to be. I think will be challenges, of course, challenges to try to get everybody to listen to each other. I think that's the main challenge. But I think the good definitely outweighs the bad, I guess, in this complicated world. So I'm definitely hopeful for the next generation. Yeah, it's I think every challenges that we experience, I think will make us better and stronger in the future. So it's all good. I think everything.
All right. If you don't have any more questions, thanks so much for coming, and it's been an honor to talk with you.
Yes, thank you so much.
No problem.